Yo, welcome back to Culture Cast episode 17. Like we said last week, we were gonna record Sunday unless anything crazy happens, and it finally happened, man. Damian Lillard is a Milwaukee Buck. Wisconsinites, rejoice. Okay, Giannis is not leaving. Everything is okay. This was huge news. We've been waiting for a potential Damian Lillard trade for years now, and it finally happened. Honestly, we didn't expect it to kind of go the way it did. It was sort of weird. I mean, obviously, over the last few months, it's pretty much been Miami as the main taker potentially. And then of the last week, it had been the Raptors who were who we were told were the front runners to land Damian Lillard. For him to end up with the Bucks, pretty crazy. It was a three-team trade, and we will be getting into that. We are going to open though with the Warriors, just because it's real quick. Signing Rudy Gay and Rodney McGruder to kind of fight for that final open roster spot for the Warriors. Obviously, not signing Dwight Howard; they've got an open spot, and they were looking to prioritize wings. So we also don't know if that's going to be the last, training camp invite, but at the moment, that's what we've got. And then from the trade, we have Jrue Holiday, who Portland is looking to flip here. We've got three destinations that we find Jrue Holiday will be a good fit at, and could net those teams good returns as well. So that's what we'll be getting into, but we will quickly open here with the Warriors signing Rudy Gay and Rodney McGruder to fight for that final roster spot. What are your thoughts, sir? You've talked quite a bit about Rudy Gay, so how do you feel about it?
He's an older guy, but he keeps finding jobs, man. I think there's a reason for that. He's great. He's a great leader. I mean, he's a great veteran. He's a great locker room guy. I mean, I I'm gonna take a guess, and I feel like he will end up with that spot for the Warriors. But Magruder also had his moments on the Heat and the Clippers. He's always been a very solid off the bench guard. Nothing
Yeah,
crazy. Shoot a little bit, plays pretty hard on defense. He's a hustler. I mean, I can acknowledge that for him. He hustles a lot. I mean, he's someone you can always have. And I mean, I feel like he hasn't played in a bit. Was he on a team last year?
I don't think I saw him on a team. I think after
Yeah.
2022 or something, he was
Yeah.
done.
Yeah. So
Um,
that's interesting.
yeah,
I feel like you guys have a good amount of guard depth. So
yeah,
that's but I mean, I know you guys like your guards. I know last year you guys ran a guard at small forward sometimes. So
yeah.
I
Don't say.
understand it. But yeah, no, definitely. But I mean, it's interesting. I personally think Rudy Gay gets that last spot though.
Yeah, I wouldn't argue with you. I mean, we know there's still guys left in the market. We talked about three potential ones last
Yeah.
week, Will Barton, Terrence Ross, and who was the other one?
TJ Warren.
TJ Warren. There's still a lot of wings left on the market, but yeah, Rudy Gay, he's always, I mean, for the last like 3-4 years, always kind of been rumored, or Warriors fans he was on their wish list. So
Yeah.
it kind of finally happened. And yeah, again, the playing time is going to be interesting, especially because of the resting policy. So, whereas last season, if this was last season, Rudy Gay probably plays a lot because guys are sitting a ton.
Yeah.
But now, probably not. You still want Jonathan Kuminga to flourish. You want Usman Garuba, who they're very high on. So, Trace Jackson Davis there too. Rudy Gay playing time might not see a ton. However, like you said, great veteran presence, great teammate, great for the locker room.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like kind of ironic that they brought in Rodney McGruder. I know you sent me a post earlier about Rodney McGruder getting
Yo, Clay.
I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
we
yeah.
all know
Years
the
ago.
notorious moment in 2021 when Magruder
Yep.
wanted to take on the Warriors, and Clay kind of ripped him a new one. And
Yeah.
Draymond said in that post game interview, if he wants to fight with Juan T, I'm putting my money on Juan T all day. So
Yeah.
bringing in Rodney McGruder is an interesting choice for a team that's really trying
Yeah.
to re-strengthen the locker room. But I mean,
Hey.
hey, that's if anything, you're giving a guy like Rodney McGruder, hey, if you want it, you got to earn it because these
Yeah.
dudes already have feel some type of way about you, and vice versa. So I don't know. Like you said, he is I know he's a very feisty guard. He's like six
Yeah.
five, so he is kind of in that tweener build,
Yeah.
guard forward sort of deal. So, you know, I'm not too mad about it, but I do agree if either of those, if it's only those two, if unless there are more signings moving forward, as far
Yeah,
as as far as we are now, I agree. Rudy Gay is probably best fit for that spot. So
I would
I
think.
like it for the, again, like we keep saying, the Udonis Haslam kind of thing, like knowledge on the bench, man. It
It's
comes
big.
in, you want it to come in droves. And to have a guy like Rudy Gay there who's been around the block playing for the Spurs, Memphis, Utah, didn't he play for Denver? I don't, or Sacramento, sorry. He's been
Sacramento, yeah.
around, man. He has been
Oh,
around.
Raptors.
So
Raptors. Yeah.
Raptors too, yeah. You
He's been a lot
know,
of places.
plethora of knowledge. So these young guys, especially the forwards on the team, the young forwards, you get
Yeah.
you get an offensive minded forward to kind of pick his brain. So yeah, I like it, man. I like it. I much rather have those two guys duking it out than Dwight Howard, frankly.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, that's pretty much all. We just wanted to quickly start with that, just to get out again. Warriors fan here. If there's Thunder news, we'll talk about Thunder news. But yeah, all right. The bulk of the video here. We've got the three-team trade from yesterday, and we've been talking about this for a long time, man. Finally, the trigger was pulled. Damian Lillard is off of the Portland Trailblazers. Bucks fans rejoice. Portland fans, frankly, rejoice. I mean, Jesus Christ, this man, in my opinion, has been holding you guys hostage for a while. Granted, the front office hasn't done you any favors, but now it's over. And Nurkic is gone. It's over. You're in a new era. I'd be psyched if I were you guys. This is a great time to be a Blazers fan, in my opinion. Again, there are going to be the fans who are like, no, we had Damian Lillard. Why don't you build around him? You weren't going to win. All right. I'm an A's fan. I know what it's like. You weren't going to win. Just be happy it's over. Start while you can. So we'll get into the entire trade here. It is a three-team trade between the Milwaukee Bucks, the Portland Trailblazers, and of course, why wouldn't it be at this point, the Phoenix Suns? The Bucks, they're landing Damian Lillard. That's it.
Yes.
However, to the Portland Trailblazers goes Jrue Holiday via Milwaukee, DeAndre Ayton via Phoenix, Tamani Kamara via Milwaukee, who is a 6'8" forward, 23 years old, came from Dayton, had a great freshman, or not freshman, a great senior season there for Dayton, and he is a rookie right now. They also got a 2029 first round pick from the Bucks and the Bucks pick swap. The Suns picked up Yusuf Nurkic via Portland, Nasir Little via Portland, Keon Johnson via Portland, and then Grayson Allen coming from Milwaukee. So we'll just start right away here. The Bucks land Dame, man. What are your thoughts there? What do you see the fit like?
So you go out, you got a top three guard on your team now. I mean, we were talking about it last week, man. They needed offense, and they kind of went a little beyond what we were saying with what needed. They went
Yeah,
out and they went got the whole damn thing, and they got Damian Lillard. I mean, offensively, man, you can't ask for someone realistically better. There's
yeah,
quite maybe give or take three better players offensively, I would say, than Damian Lillard. And even that, I think he's a top five offensive player. He's a weapon. He's an absolute shooter. He is someone that's going to get you 30 easily. He's going to get you games where he's going to have 50 plus. I mean, it's Damian Lillard, man. I mean, we get it. He is definitely getting a little older, but I think his game is personally fine the way he plays. He doesn't
yeah,
rely on athleticism all that much. He's a phenomenal shooter. I can't say that enough. He is one of the best shooters in the league. He is phenomenal at drawing contact. So a team that already gets in a lot of foul trouble against, I mean, like you have Giannis, who is one of the best at getting to the free throw line, adding Damian Lillard. It's going to be another interesting player right there alongside with them. And I'm interested to see how are you going to guard them necessarily. It's going to be a lot different from when Jrue was there. I mean, I understand you are losing defense, and no doubt you are definitely losing Jrue's defense, which I personally think he's the best point guard defensively in the league, Jrue Holiday. But
yeah. Probably gives
replacing
guard in
him,
general. Yeah.
yeah, he's probably the best guard in the league
Mm,
defensively. But now you are getting someone that is going to make your offense great to just a complete and utter juggernaut. I mean, you are, I
yeah.
personally believe if all goes well, if all healthy, far and away, one of the best offenses in the league.
Yeah, I mean, Milwaukee has never been in question about their defense, especially last season. Brooke
Yeah,
Lopez obviously having the
definitely. Yeah,
best year of his career.
the deep boy here almost. Yeah,
Yeah, on top of having Giannis, who, kind of like Draymond, the dude can kind of just rover.
yeah,
Giannis can do a whole lot of stuff
yeah.
because he's just long
Deep
enough
boy.
to, yeah, he's long enough to just react to things. So if he's playing too far up and you think you blew past him, or he gets,
No, he's probably
someone like catches him off guard from the corner, he can react. He'd get there and block that shot at the rim. He can also get
yeah.
up to the perimeter very quickly on you. So, I mean, losing Jrue is never
It
fun because
sucks.
as a
It sucks.
one-on-one Durant,
Yeah,
as a one-on-one on-ball defender, he's like
phenomenal.
as good as it gets. But
Yeah,
losing him, honestly,
yeah.
does it take them out of being a great defensive team? I don't think
No,
so.
I don't
I
think
don't
so
think
either.
so.
I
Yeah.
agree. I'm still with you on that.
Who's
And
their coach? I forget. Isn't it Adrian Griffin?
oh, yes, it's AJ. Yes, it
Adrian
is Adrian
Griffin.
from the Raptors.
Yeah.
The yes, it is him.
So
So we'll see what those
yeah,
lineups because the Raptors like to really play their players. So
yeah. The
I mean,
Raptors are also very progressive defensively. So
very.
I
Yeah,
think we'll see. I mean,
I think
Damian
they'll
Lillard's
scheme
gonna
them
get
just
tested.
fine.
Oh yeah, they'll be
Yeah,
perfectly fine. Again, like we said with in the Buddy Hield video, the biggest question for Milwaukee is Chris Middleton, and that's
yeah.
just regarding health and where he is at as far as his game goes because of the health.
I'm not gonna lie. I love their depth too. I think they have phenomenal depth in Milwaukee. So I mean, if you're without
Yeah,
Chris Middleton, of course that's gonna hurt. But I think this kind of puts a bandage on Chris
offsets it.
Middleton.
Yeah,
You don't need to rely on him as much
yeah.
offensively.
So if Middleton's gone, you
It
get a
sucks.
better score.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but you went out and you got a
yeah.
guy who's going to be phenomenal scoring the ball. And I wouldn't be surprised if Dame's efficiency's up playing next to Giannis.
Yeah, I think so too. I also think you were talking about athletically for, how Dame is the drawing contact. I think the
Yeah,
two aspects from that are so key is, for one, Dame doesn't have to be the only guy getting to the rim anymore. In
exactly.
Portland,
He
it
was.
was like get out
He
of my
was the rim
way.
pressure.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, he was the rim pressure, but
He
now
was the
it's
rim
like
pressure.
Dame doesn't have to do that because you've got Giannis. You want to run pick
All
and
he needs around
roll.
his body.
Very much so. So,
Yeah,
we have questions about Dame's health over the last couple of seasons. Obviously the abdomen being the biggest thing here, but I think he's gonna have kind of the lightest load to do things that he's had ever in his career,
I
which is
agree.
great for him physically, mentally.
And his age too. Yeah, it's
Exactly.
great.
And like again, you lose Drew's defense. Chris
Yeah,
Middleton's a question mark, but you're bringing in 25 to 30 points on great efficiency, probably
yeah,
better now.
yeah.
And, the dude he hustles his ass off. He's not, to me, he's not like Harden, who just, like, there's a clear dichotomy of Harden's intensity on offense and defense. Like
Yeah.
Dame, Kyrie, Russ, they may not be good defenders, but they just try. Like you could
They give
see
their
the
effort.
effort. Yeah.
Yeah,
And so I like Dame there. We were talking about before, even when we were talking about Buddy Hield or Kyrie on the Bucks or any of these trades
yeah.
where a big name goes somewhere. We got to see it on the court first, because right
I
now
agree.
on paper, I think out of
It's
any
amazing
trade
on
we've
paper.
seen, yeah,
Yeah,
out of any trade, Dame in Milwaukee looks like it fits the best on paper.
yeah.
But now we
It's
got to see what it looks like.
yeah,
There's going to be growing pains. Look, because we were talking about, I think we were talking about like right after the draft, you want to get these trades done
yeah.
quickly, or
Before
else
training, yeah.
exactly, because
Don't trade.
now you're really rushing the chemistry,
Yeah,
so the Bucks have a lot of work to do. You're implementing a new coach, a
big
new
time.
scheme system, whatever you want to call it, and now you're bringing in a whole new point guard. You start questioning whether you're going to get the same performance from Brooke Lopez. You're questioning whether your depth is quality enough. You're questioning whether Chris Middleton's health is there. Like, the Bucks still have a lot on their plate to take care of here. They're not in the clear. I
On
think
all spectrum.
they've got a lot to prove to show that they can get back to where they were.
Yeah,
But for Dame, man, I'm happy.
I'm
Like,
happy. And
I've talked a lot of shit about him, and I stand by my opinions. I stand by them, but I am happy to see him finally on a good team that cares about winning.
I'm
It's
completely
nice
with
to
you, Mark.
see.
Yeah, that is.
Um,
I'm very ecstatic for him. He gets to go out there and actually compete,
yeah,
and he will be a favorite this year.
I
So
yeah, I think
yeah,
I hope we see the best year from Damian Lillard. I really do.
hopefully.
This should be just rejuvenation for him. Like, this is a whole new life. So I am excited. It's going to be really fun to watch basketball. Bucks fans, get fucking hyped, man. This is
Yeah,
your
you got
time,
him.
you know?
You got him.
Yeah. Next, man, we've got the Blazers, and we went over that. They got Jrue Holiday, DeAndre Ayton, Tumani Kamara, a 2029 first from the Bucks, and a Bucks pick swap. How do you feel about that? Blazers got themselves quite a bit of a haul. What do you think?
They got a pretty solid trade package. I'm can't be too mad about that. You go in, you get some younger guys. You definitely get Aiden, who is we all know he's a question mark at times. We're not saying he's not. He's a question mark. There is lots of things around him, but like we mentioned before, he is someone that possibly could be great on his own. I don't
Yeah.
necessarily know. We have to see the effort. I think more will be there this year. I think he's in a new situation, fresh start, make the best of it. And I mean, you get Tamani Kamara, who I really liked a lot coming out of that draft. And he's someone that's, I would think, more for an NBA ready team, if that makes sense. Because Blazers, I still think they're somewhat in a rebuild mode, obviously, but
Yeah.
they're not win now. But I think he was definitely more of a win now rookie. So I thought Phoenix would kind of stick by him a bit more. He's a bit younger, but he was kind of an NBA ready player more so than
Yeah.
someone you really work on. So that's
4-year
interesting.
college guy. Yeah.
That's instant production. So that's
Yeah.
solid. I mean, I can't really hate on him for that. The picks is what kind of got me though. I was kind of interested by that. I thought they would get more on the draft pick side of things, but that not bad. You're getting the first, which the Bucks in 2029 could be atrocious. I mean, let's be real.
Yeah.
6 years
Yeah.
away, they could be atrocious. And I mean, we will see. That could be a very good pick later down the line. But
Yeah.
and obviously Jrue, the headliner of the trade for the Blazers. You're going to trade him. You're going to net more picks. So
Exactly.
okay,
This is a great
it's not
flip,
done yet.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, it's not
the
done.
trade is not done, but I can't hate it. It was a pretty good package. I looking at all the Miami packages, I personally think it's better than anything they realistically could have got from Miami.
Yeah, because we all knew it was either going to be one of Bam or Tyler Hero plus Kyle
Yeah,
Lowry plus one of the young dudes and maybe a pick to go. Like
yeah,
Miami, it was you were going to lose one of your favorites and then you were going to
yeah,
lose like it was just a guarantee that was what was trade was going to look like. So yeah, I like the pickup for Portland, man. And again, we were talking about this before we started recording. There's like this whole thing. Portland is now in a spot where even though I'm sure they're still looking at it as like the beginning of a rebuild,
yeah,
realistically, they are not a team that
yeah,
I'd be shocked to see in the play-in.
yeah.
Like they have a solid lineup, and I don't think Scoot is like as raw a talent as like a Jalen Green was or whatever.
Yeah,
Like I think Scoot is someone that can instantly come in and put up like 15 and
big,
7
big time.
minimum,
Yeah,
on decent efficiency. So
yeah,
I like what they've got, and because to get into that a little bit more, it's like, did they get the picks and the youth that you may have wanted to see? Maybe
yeah.
not,
Maybe not.
but
Yeah,
who says they have to go into like this 10-year, Detroit
yeah,
Pistons
exactly,
style rebuild? It's like
exactly.
they
I want
they
to make it
remember
fun.
exactly. Now you're like within the span of a year and a half after losing CJ and now Dame,
Yeah,
like you're kind of a playoff team.
you could be.
And
Yeah,
potentially for what you get from Jrue Holiday, because the only issue with Jrue here is now you're looking at Scoot, Jrue, and Anthony as three main guards.
too many.
And
Yeah, so
you're already questioning, okay, is Anthony someone who can be a good two? I don't know.
he's
Anthony's a chucker and he's an
yeah,
on-ball chucker.
a bit
Um,
undersized for the
yeah,
two.
he's only like 6'4", and he's not a good defender. But he's someone that can net you role
A good
players. He
amount of
can net you
assets.
picks.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. He brings in
yeah,
assets. And then Drew's the same way. It's like
yeah,
Jrue is kind of like Malcolm Brogdon in sort of a sense.
yeah.
I don't think Jrue would have an issue playing Robin to Scoot. I don't think he'd care. But at the same
No,
time, it's like, do you really need Jrue next to Scoot? I don't think
exactly.
so. I think you could say, okay, let's just go for some more role players. Frankly, now that you have Scoot and Aiton, fuck it, man. Take a
Yeah,
chance on Buddy Hield. You know, true number two, true shooter. You don't have to
yeah,
worry about who's the guy, who's playmate. Like, that there's a lot of options here for Portland other than just trade for picks or trade for
yeah,
young guys. Like they've got options here. So again, man, Portland fans, I hope you're excited because
yeah,
the future is bright. It really is. And we didn't think it'd be this quickly because Portland was just like lollygagging so hard on this, and it was like I don't know what the hell they're asking for, but they might end
Yeah.
up in a Ben Simmons Philly situation where you just get fuck all, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm glad to see the return that they did get. And last but not least here, we've got the Suns.
Yeah.
Of course, the Suns finagled their way into this. You know, we've been talking about DeAndre Ayton getting moved for a while. The last rumor that there came of was him to the Sixers for Tobias Harris. That seemed to be vetoed very quickly. But now he got out of there. He's in Portland. The Suns pick up Yusuf Nurkic, Nasir Little, Keon Johnson, and Grayson Allen. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, so they're really embracing this. Like, we gotta move on from the young guys. I mean, Tamani Kamara's gone. He was one of the younger players on the roster. Ship him out. I know Keon Johnson's a bit younger, so and Nasir Little's a bit younger also. But I am very, very interested to see how Nurkic comes out and plays, because I can't even disrespect him too much, man. That Portland defense is atrocious before like the last years. It's bad. He was not on a team where he could have realistically made that big of an impact. So it's a team that he's getting sent to that is going to be a better defense realistically than Portland. So he will definitely provide a lot of different stuff. He's a very solid playmaker at the big position. He is a very solid playmaker as a center. That's someone I think that could help benefit Booker, who's going to be your point guard. So I think you're going to have plenty of other playmakers on Phoenix to make it work. I think this is a very solid trade. And the thing with Nurkic, you're not questioning his effort ever. You're not going to end up questioning his effort or how he's feeling or this and that. Nurkic is going to play. He's going to give you a good effort. I mean, a few years ago, he was a pretty solid defensive big before he broke his leg. I mean, I'm interested to see how he comes and play. I personally don't think he's bad. I know a lot of people don't like him. I'm not the biggest fan of him. I don't think he's a bad player by no means. And that's not even Grayson Allen, who's going to shoot 40% from three. He's going to take 5 or 6 a game. He's going to shoot phenomenally behind the arc. You're getting another shooter that's going to help benefit Booker, going to help benefit KD and Bradley Beal when they need to get the ball out of their hands to someone like that. So, I mean, you're getting a bunch of lockdown shooters on this team, and I can't hate on it. Keon Johnson's more of a project point guard. He's very athletic. He's young, so that's interesting to have on your bench. Not
depth, you know.
Depth, yeah. And then last but not least at all, you got Nasir Little, who is on his own a very solid up-and-coming 3-and-D guy, I believe. I don't think he's there just yet, but he's shown lots of flashes. Not even to mention, he is another class athlete. He is a phenomenal athlete with crazy bounce, and it's someone you can use as a cutter, someone you can use as it's just they have so many different gadget players now that maybe they can make this work. I like this trade for them a lot. I do think moving on from Kamara is a bit painful, but
6'8" wing,
you got off the Aiden contract too.
That was the biggest thing, is just you want to get rid of Aiden because it's a locker room issue. He doesn't want to be there, and it's too big of a contract, and
big contract.
Yeah,
you're off of it, man. So, I mean, it could help later down the line. I don't hate this for Phoenix at all. I think it's a very solid trade for them. They're fully embracing this whatever this is that they're doing, man.
That window is getting utilized properly. They're pushing.
They're calling the phones right now. I mean, they have it going, man. They have all the magic this offseason right now. Them and the Lakers are the ones on the phones. They've been the ones making all the crazy moves. So we'll see. I mean, I just hope it doesn't backfire. But I mean, this trade I think kind of ensures having that depth. If anything, that's another reason. I mean, these guys, man, Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant, Booker, not so much, but these two they're injury prone. So having guys like that next to Booker, man, it might be very key. So we will see.
And that's the big thing with Nurkic is I agree that Nurkic when he's healthy, Nurkic is a good player. And I think for this Phoenix team, well, and think about the Phoenix team. It's like we already know there are questions defensively. They've got a lot of stuff to answer to and to prove. But Nurkic, he's almost like Valanciunas or Steven Adams, where it's like his strength is the offensive glass. His strength is extending possessions, and Phoenix is really trying to get as dominant an offense as possible. So if you throw in a big that's 7 feet tall that can snag offensive boards and extend possessions even longer, that might be even more of a strength than bringing in an elite rim protector. You know? So I think, if Nurkic is healthy, which the last like 3.5 years, he's just been
Questionably,
riddled with injuries,
yeah,
all lower body, which is not good,
no,
especially for any 7 footer. We all know the history with 7 footers and injuries, especially heavy footed ones like Nurkic. There are questions there, but I think, like you said, bringing up Aiden's contract, that's a plus about Nurkic. Nurkic is kind of on a big contract. It's not atrocious. I mean, it
yeah,
technically is given the injuries, but like financially speaking, it's not the biggest contract in the world, but it's
yeah,
one where
yeah,
if you're asking Nurkic, hey, how are you feeling? And he's like, it's just I'm not good. Then
yeah,
buy out the contract, buy it out, let him go. Now you've essentially gotten rid of Aiton. You got a couple young players. Nasir Little, also, as you said, fantastic young player, great 3-and-D guy, big time athlete, but the injuries. He's
yeah,
another dude he's kind of almost in that Patrick Williams mode where like a lot of people had very high expectations for Nasir Little coming out of college, and
yeah,
it didn't really pan out, at least in the immediacy of what we expected.
yeah. I
But
know. Yeah,
yeah, I think Nasir Little can do something. And, for a Phoenix team that just any sort of defense you can find, scavenge, get it.
yeah,
And Nasir
yeah,
Little can do that. And
definitely.
also, Keon Johnson. Is Keon Johnson known as a defender? No. But he's a world class athlete and he's a guard. He's someone you
Yeah,
can, have, run up on some bench ones, bench twos, and you might be able to play some solid defense, keep the older guys from having to play all the time.
yeah,
I like it. And Grayson Allen, of course, question his character all you want. That's perfectly fine and frankly justified. But
yeah,
shooting, the dude shoots 40%,
yeah,
like Phoenix wants guys to sit on the wing, to sit on the corner, get the fuck out of the way. And if you get the ball, make your shot. You got a perfect dude for it.
yeah.
So Phoenix, I'm fucking hate you guys, but you had again like the Lakers, man. You guys have found a way to just continue to have this fantastic offseason. And as much as I feel like it won't happen, I also think it will. You guys will probably do more. I don't think you're done. So overall, fantastic trade. I don't think anybody lost. I don't think anybody. Typically, when
I
you see a 3-4 team trade, it's like,
yeah,
oh,
this is
someone got
one.
fleeced. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
No, this is pretty even as of right now. This doesn't look bad. I definitely do think obviously there's a winner, but I
yeah.
don't think it's bad. I generally don't.
Yeah. And speaking of, we did grade this trade. We have one that's kind of two really that are kind of extensions. They're not fully done because the stuff's not done yet, technically
Yeah.
speaking. But we wanted to start with Milwaukee. We're giving Milwaukee an A here. I mean, you could get into it. Why do you
Yeah.
think they have the highest one here?
I mean, like we mentioned, you're increasing your offense. You've had years in the past where offense was your biggest enemy in the playoffs. You were a bad offensive team. Your defense could only do so much. And I think nowadays, having a bolstering juggernaut of an offense is the way to win. Having a great defense along with that, which they most likely will,
Even better,
it's
but yeah.
it's even better, man. I mean, I can't even say I think they're more of a balanced team. I don't think they're so defensive oriented when it comes playoff time. You you have two superstars. I mean,
Yeah.
it's what it is. It's really weird that this was the trade that happened. I did not expect seeing this on anything. I mean, it's crazy. It's a great move. On paper, you're looking at an older point guard with injury issues the last few years, but it's Damian Lillard. I have to give it an A. It's a great trade. You're keeping Giannis. You're going to extend Giannis. You're keeping him in Milwaukee. He's not leaving now. So
Yeah.
I mean, that's your biggest goal. Keeping Giannis happy and keeping him in Milwaukee.
100% agree. 100% agree. Going on to Portland here. Our grade for Portland is a B plus for what they have right now. The entire trade that they netted, we've got as a B plus. However, depending on what they can get for Jrue Holiday, that can make this an even better flip because that it's kind of like with the Wizards getting rid of Beal, ending up with Poole, getting rid of Chris Paul. Like the Wizards started off kind of like, ooh, this is ugly. And then it like was like, oh shit, okay. I like what I'm seeing. So it's not totally done. Portland still has a move or two to make here, but right now we've got a B plus. Any further thoughts on Portland here?
I mean, they did what they had to do. I like you said, they're not bad. They're not a bad team. They're not a team that's going to be rebuilding for 5 to 10 years. They'll probably be a
Yeah.
very solid team in the next 2 to 3. I think you had to do it. It makes sense, and you're going to net more assets out of Jrue Holiday. So I mean,
Yeah,
take
exactly.
take it. Yeah.
And then last but not least, we've got Phoenix, and we gave Phoenix a B for now.
Yeah.
Phoenix, obviously, their biggest thing was dropping Aiton. They did
Yeah.
that. But now you brought in Nurkic, who, again, is not as bad a contract as Aiton. But if he's not healthy, then he's just holding up space. And at least
Yeah.
Aiton can play,
Yeah.
Nurkic, we don't know. So I think for Phoenix, it's a B for now. Depending on if Nurkic is healthy and if he's playing some solid basketball, then we're chilling. Or if you're able to move him or just straight up buy him out and get rid of him, also great because then you're just opening up more potential to sign more guys. So
Yeah.
I think Phoenix is in a great spot, but we got him at a B right now just because Nurkic is sort of like the placeholder for what could either be East or great.
Yeah.
Last but not least, we've got the potential Jrue Holiday trade destinations. Obviously, like we said, B plus until Jrue's gone.
Yeah.
Portland is going to look to flip him. And Jrue Holiday is still one of the better guards playing in the NBA, made his first All-Star team last season. I mean, Jrue Holiday's had a hell of a career. We've talked
Yeah.
about a few times, he's only going to be here for a couple more seasons, but those couple
Yeah.
seasons, I guarantee are going to be quality. I don't think Drew's going to have some drop off. Like he brings the same thing every single night and has never had a decline. So I like what, any team could get from Jrue. But we wanted to start off here with the Philadelphia 76ers. This was your first pick. You were really high on Philly here for landing Jrue. What are your thoughts on a potential fit there?
Yeah. I mean, like we said, man, I think they're desperate as hell. They got screwed over by Harden. They're desperate. They need to make this. They need to pick up the phone, make this call, man. They need someone like Jrue Holiday. They need a point guard who's to be able to facilitate, which they lost a big chunk of their facilitating in Harden, man. I mean, they're still a very solid team, though. I'm not going to say they're not. They have a lot of great players still to play with. So the only thing is I don't know what a trade looks like for them. I would think I would take a guess. Maxi's definitely untouchable, and I don't think he would be realistically worth Holiday. He'd probably be a little better based on age and production. He's a very solid young guy. I don't. The only thing is the assets from Philly's side. I don't really know what they would be willing to trade and what would happen. But I think if I'm Philly, I need to make this happen. You need a guard. You need a guy who's going to give you at least 15. And I mean, it's not an upgrade over Harden. I would say I think they'd be similar production wise. I would think. I don't really know. That's kind of a weird.
Maybe I think Jrue would be more productive for what Philly
Yeah.
needs. I think again we've talked about Harden. It's like
Yeah.
he's so one dimensional at this point
Yeah.
offensively and kind
Yeah.
of hampers the Phillies offense because like we were talking about before with Tyrese at the helm, yeah, was it the best brand of basketball? No,
No.
probably not. But when Tyrese was there, that Philly team was free flowing, absolutely moving the ball. They looked great.
Fast
In
pace.
my
Yeah.
opinion, they looked a lot better with Tyrese at the start than with James. So, I like Jrue as a two behind or next to Maxi, or maybe I don't know how that would shake out, but I do
Yeah.
like the potential for Portland to land Tobias Harris. I think
Yeah.
like Philly's been looking for a couple years now to potentially move Tobias. And I think he fits Portland. Portland needs
Yeah.
that final dude that's like a good forward, could play the 3 or 4, some solid perimeter defense, can space the floor a bit, and can score on his own. Tobias has that, Tobias has that. But like you said, Philly needs to make up for whatever you're missing from Harden. And even though I honestly don't think it's going to be too much, like I just like to me, Harden coming in there is kind of just diverting power to James Harden as opposed to
Yeah.
like we desperately needed a James Harden. I think you're probably a lot better off with Jrue because Jrue will allow Joel Embiid to be Joel Embiid, and that's ultimately the biggest thing. So yeah, I do like Philly too. I think you're definitely right. That's a great fit for both sides because they do have assets. I don't know. I don't think Maxey would get traded. either.
I
Not
don't
even
think,
not even
yeah,
because of like, of how good Tyrese can be, but I just don't
yeah,
if Portland's getting rid of Jrue Holiday and potentially getting rid of Anthony Simons, Tyrese
yeah,
Maxey doesn't make sense. Like I don't
yeah.
think they'd
He's
be
a
calling about him.
very small guard. Yeah, I don't know what
Yeah.
that's. Yeah, I'd probably say Tobias has. I mean, that's good for Philly getting off that contract, which they've
Yeah.
been trying to do for a while. Also,
Works well for both sides. It's and that again, that side is more of like, okay, Portland's committing to the now. They don't think they
yeah,
have to rebuild any further. They're like, yeah, dude, we could just go right now.
yeah,
So yeah, I like them. Next, we've got the Miami Heat, another team you brought up. I think Miami fits very well, but again, now we're in question of potential returns. How do you feel about Jrue with the Heat? What are your thoughts there?
I I think he's a Heat player, man. He is a
Yeah,
phenomenal player. He's a hard worker. He is phenomenal on the defensive end, which is already a great defense. So you're adding someone else like that. It's
yeah,
interesting, and you're bolstering up your offense a bit. He's not the greatest offensive player, definitely not the strongest, and he's not Dame. He's not. He's just not. It's not a bad thing. It's just it
yeah,
is what it is. It's not Damian Lillard, but you're going to end up potentially missing out on getting better whatsoever. So I think you need to call. You need to figure out what they want. I don't think it's going to be. It's definitely not going to be a Dame package. Obviously, it's going
no,
to be a very simple package. I believe. I'm thinking picks, one of your young guys, and maybe something else to make salaries work. Most likely, like you said, Lowry. And I, if I'm Miami, I think this is a much better fit than a Harden. And
yeah,
I think he's meant to be in Miami. He's a very Miami-esque
yeah.
player, a
He
very
fits Heat culture.
hardworking guy. Yeah, it's just
Yeah,
it seems like something that would work. It makes sense. He'd be very solid though. I think him and Jimmy could be a very decent duo there with Hero and Bam. I think they have a lot of very solid players. Maybe he can help take them over the edge, which is the finals hump that they keep losing out on. So I mean, maybe I
yeah,
be interested. I don't know. He usually gets torched by the Heat. I will say that. So I'll finally get to join him. So
yeah. Uh, yeah, I like it too. I think if you're Portland, you take Jaime Jaquez and you just say thank you, and that's it.
yeah,
You just take Jaquez and you leave. Again, like we talked about with Maxi, they're not really in need of a point guard, or they're not really in need of a guard. I don't think Hero would be in any sort of call. I think at most it's like, okay, this is more of the route of we want to rebuild. Like
yeah,
now we actually do want to. Then you take on Jaquez, you ask for Jovic too, and maybe a pick. I feel like Jaquez and Jovic are probably like, I think that's all you could get away with just because we know Jrue's retiring soon.
yeah,
So it's a hard capped retire. It's not like, oh, I'll stick it out another year. Like Tom Brady is like 5 years of this is the time. Like
yeah,
Jrue seems pretty set on 2025. It's over. So
yeah,
I think you probably could get Jaquez, maybe also Jovic, but that's it. And that's again, that also depends on, does Miami say, okay, do we think we can realistically now with Damian Lillard in the East, do we now think we have a chance to win the title and give up
yeah,
our young players? Because again, you're going to have to toss in Lowry to match contracts. But after
yeah,
that, it's about where do you see yourself as a team?
yeah.
Because frankly, now that Dame's in Milwaukee, would I be shocked if Jimmy Butler or Bam or whoever like gets on the trading block? Honestly, not really. I don't think I'd be too shocked. It's like I don't think Miami can compete with Milwaukee now.
I'm with
I don't
you.
think
I
so.
I agree with you, but I mean,
Yeah,
you're. It's tough because I mean Jimmy Butler's 34, I believe.
something like that. He's on a huge deal too, right?
Yeah, and their pick this year and our next year goes to the Thunder. So I mean,
Yeah, you either commit now. It's either like full on commit now, or just it's time to
blow it
blow it
up.
up. Yeah,
I don't know if I could say I would want to blow it up after making the finals, man. I think that'd be
yeah,
tough. It just
it
made it,
would.
man.
It would.
That'd be a really tough pill to swallow if you're like, you know what, we can't win. And I feel like that's not the Miami way, and I feel like they won't
No.
do that.
Yeah, it would definitely be weird if Miami was like, yeah, you know what, we're gonna bite the bullet here. So I could see Jrue there because I agree. He's Heat culture. He fits
Yeah,
perfectly. Like if there's a prototypical Miami Heat player, he fits that bill.
someone like that. Yeah,
Yeah. Last but not least, within the Jrue Holiday trade proposals, we have the Brooklyn Nets. The Brooklyn Nets have been a team that in the past year and a half, 2 years, have gone through quite a bit of flux, so to speak. First domino to fall out of that trio, of course, James Harden moving on to the Philadelphia 76ers. Then Kyrie getting traded to the Mavericks. And then, of course, the biggest domino of them all, Kevin Durant ending up in Phoenix with the Suns. And in that trade came Cam Johnson and Mikal Bridges. Bridges, genuinely a budding superstar. His second half of last year, including his time in Brooklyn, were incredible. The dude was averaging like 25 a game. I mean, absolutely stellar. We already know he's one of the best perimeter defenders in the game itself. So they're in a good spot, but one of the biggest questions for them is who's going to run point guard. I'm pretty sure they picked up Dinwiddie as well in the Mavericks trade. So they did bring back Dinwiddie, but I think they're looking to get their point guard of the future, or more so their true place holding point guard to move into the future. And I like Jrue Holiday as a part of that. I think like the number one thing with Jrue Holiday is his defense can kind of establish and cement a culture. You know what I mean? Like he's that good on that end of the floor. So you already have a guy like Mikal Bridges who plays spectacular defense. The only issue there is that Mikel's young. So he's not a vet yet. Young guys aren't really going to look to Mikel for, leadership qualities and, kind of that veteran presence that someone like Jrue could bring to the table. Jrue can get a five-man group to play some stellar defense. I don't think Mikel's there yet. So I like the addition of Jrue Holiday. I was telling you, I think the number one guy they'd probably have to give up that they should want to get is Cameron Johnson. I think Cameron Johnson is a really solid stretch four, young, athletic, is sort of in that Keegan Murray stage where he's trying to add more to his game right now. I like Cam Johnson in Portland because, number one, that's a need. But number two, he's just a young player. He's someone who can add to that core. And for Brooklyn, I really don't think you're losing a whole lot there. You probably would want to keep on to your young guys, but also, you've got Mikel. And frankly, you could really tailor a team around him from there. What are your thoughts? What do you think Brooklyn could get or give or, yeah?
This is definitely not as desperate as the other two teams, but to mention, they are without their picks, I believe, this year. So they're trying to compete. They're trying to make the playoffs. They're not trying to lose. So I definitely could see this happening 100% because they're in a state where they want to win also. I don't know if they can realistically create a contender right now. I do think they can make hell of a team, though. Yeah, like you mentioned, they have very phenomenal perimeter defenders. Nicholas Claxton, very solid rim protector. They have lots of defensive players I'm interested in. They had a pretty solid draft, too. I wasn't too mad. Tariq Whitehead, younger point guard.
Right.
Interesting athlete. And why can't I think of the other guy they drafted? He's from South Carolina. I can't think of him off the top of my head. Very solid player also. I was interested in him. He's a power forward. But to mention, they have a very solid team. Like you said, Mikel, he's on the brink, man. He's knocking on the door. He wants to be – he's going to be an all-star this year. Barring any injury, which I hope not, he is ready. He's knocking on the door. I believe he's 27 now. He's entering the prime of his career. Cameron Johnson, if they have to ship him away to get Jrue Holiday, you want to compete, I think you might have to make that trade. You might have to make that call. I understand it. They're loaded with assets after the Durant and Kyrie trade. They have the assets to make it. They can make this trade. It's definitely not off the table. It's interesting because the Nets, to me, last year after all this happened, I had no idea what their expectations were going into this year. But like you said, they have a very solid team. They have a very good roster. But who's the point guard? That can be a big issue. Jrue Holiday, I will take him as my point guard 10 out of 10 times. So if I'm Brooklyn, I think this is it could be a very interesting season for them if they do make this call. I wouldn't count them out. They're very interesting as is. And I think, like you said, I don't remember if Dinwiddie re-signed or not. I have no idea.
Yeah, he might just be finishing out that contract, and then that's that. So,
Yeah.
No, I like what we were talking about too. It's the same thing. It feels like they're on the same spot with Portland, where it's like like Portland is in a place where they kind of hold their own destiny. Like, do you
Yeah.
want to go all in with this group and hope that Scoot really turns out to be this just like immediate monster, or do you want to play the long game here and
Yeah.
really try and like hit in on the window in the next like 3 4 years? Brooklyn is in
Yeah.
a similar spot. I think, like you said, Michael is knocking on the door of his prime. He's getting really close to being there. And I think, a couple more years in Brooklyn, that dude is going to be a top 5 player.
That's
Um,
really
yeah. And he hasn't missed a game. He's never missed a game in his entire career.
no.
So like
Yeah.
there's zero questions about durability and health. I genuinely think that, you know, Jrue can put them into status, right? Like we were talking about the West, that's 15 teams that could make the play in. Like on
Yeah.
any given day, like you said, there isn't a single team that I can't see in the West not winning 41 games. That's how stacked and deep the West is. But I look at the East and I do think like
Hey.
even though Dame is there now and this and that and the other, I think the East is still pretty wide open. I think
Yeah.
there's still a lot of question marks on a ton of teams. And I don't think it's for certain. I think every year the East has a ton of teams we think are going to be insane and then really
They're
kind of
not.
just stall out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bulls, Hawks, Raptors, the Heat kind of never really have a great in-season record, so it wouldn't shock me if they skate the way into the playoffs again. But a lot of teams kind of just barely make it, and I think we could see a team like the Nets, who, if they do go go all in on a guy like Jrue Holiday or someone, hey, you with a not too amazing record, could probably fly right into a fifth seed there. It wouldn't shock
Yeah.
me one bit. I think they've got enough talent and depth, and like you said, uh, they did hit pretty well in the draft. They got some guys that are that can provide now. They still have other veterans on the bench and stuff. They still have Dorian Finney-Smith. They're good, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Lot of assets.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, they really do hold their own fate here. So, um, I liked it as a fit. I like all three of these teams as fits. And frankly, like we said with Buddy Hield, in general, we only pinpointed these three teams, but all 30 teams would love Jrue Holiday. There isn't a single team that would not do better or not do worse with Jrue Holiday. He's just that good. He great team guy, great leader, great veteran. Like we were saying beforehand, I've never heard a bad word uttered about Jrue Holiday, not from a coach, front office, fan, other player. Drew's got all the respect from everyone, and everybody would be lucky to have him on their team. So, I'm excited to see what the future holds, because who knows, maybe Portland just decides to keep him. I don't know. And this could all just be for nothing. So
That'd be very weird if they did go that route. I think with the trade they just made, I think they kind of have to trade Jrue. I
yeah,
feel like.
yeah, it's it's going to be interesting because there's a ton of routes that this could go. So
Yeah.
those are the three main ones we've got here. But like we said, anyone, even with the Dame news, no one expected Milwaukee to be the one landing them. So, we're at the point where anything could happen. So who knows? Frankly, I was saying to you before we started recording the first time, I would not be mad if the Warriors find some way to, drop Chris Paul to bring in Jrue. So, it is what it is. They kind of, maybe pulled the trigger on Poole a bit early now that we're, hindsight's 2020. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's gonna wrap things up. Though this was definitely a short episode. We just wanted to cover the big breaking news that we've been talking about for a while, potentially happening. So Damian Lillard, Milwaukee Buck, pretty crazy stuff. Gonna be weird to see him not in Rip City gear. Really gonna be weird, but excited for him. Excited for the season. It's gonna be fun. And I mean, shit, man, dominoes are still falling. Don't know where James Harden's gonna end up. Jrue Holiday's still gonna be somewhere. Who knows, man? There's a lot to be done still. So,
Yeah.
I'm excited. We'll be back this weekend, most likely. If not, next weekend. Yeah, that's gonna wrap things up. If you guys like the video, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. As always, thank you to Dom for showing up. In the Moment Hoops in the description. Go check them out. Go like their stuff. Go subscribe. And yeah, we'll be back soon with some more content. Thank you all for showing up and have a good rest of your week. Peace.